Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to have a third lecture on the course of history of England, and today we are going to focus on Anglo-Saxon invasion to the British Isles. So let's speak about our today's plans: Germanic tribes' invasions to the British Isles, the establishment of Anglo-Saxon kingdoms in the territory of the British Isles, and the third plan is the rise of Mercia. So, students, let's start discussing each plan one by one. And the first natural question which appears, which comes to your mind, is who were the Anglo-Saxons? So, Angles, Saxons, and Jutes were tribes which lived in the territory of continental Europe. I mean, they lived on the landy territory of Europe, not on watery Europe, as we usually call the British Isles. So they lived mostly in northern Germany. Some of them lived in Holland, and some of them lived in Scandinavian Peninsula, what we call today at the time. So it is modern Denmark and some neighboring countries of those states. So they, Anglo-Saxons were first of all farmers. They were skillful farmers, by the way. And when they invaded and settled down in the British Isles, they developed agriculture more than before. They started planting different plants, which gave more fruitful corns and plants than before. And they were skillful warriors as well, and the men were tall, they were fair, haired men. They armed with swords and spears. They had round shields, so they were armed very well. They were skillful warriors who could easily fight against the enemy, and usually they defeated their enemies. So a question appears: why did the Anglo-Saxons, why did the Germanic tribes start invading the British Isles, and why did they settle in that country? First of all, Britain, the British Isles, had very mild climate. Climate was, of course, very good, and this even nowadays Britain has got a good climate. So first of all, there was mild climate, and soil, land of the British Isles was fruitful. It was easy tilled one, and of course, third reason, safe anchorage for invading ships. So there was enough place where ships could be anchored. So Germanic tribes started invading the British Isles. They crossed the English Channel with their special boats, and local people, Celtic people, tried to drive the enemies away, but it was difficult because local Celtic people were not armed as Germanic tribes. And turn by turn, the whole territory of the British Isles, in which mostly Celtic population lived, were conquered and settled by Anglo-Saxons and Jews. One more thing should be mentioned here, students. Jews were later expelled. It was not used as a whole Germanic tribes who invaded the British Isles. They were mixed up, merged into Angles and Saxons, and they were all named as Anglo-Saxons. Their invasions, their history, their culture is very important. It is a key, prominent date, prominent event for the whole history of England. And a question arises: why? First of all, England, the country of England, got its name being based on those tribes. So England is land of Angles, and even uh, the language which is spoken by millions of people around the world. The English language was also like born in Anglo-Saxon period, and we study the language as Old English period of modern English. So we can say that many historical events, important, essential historical events took place in that period. So, as I told you, that period gave birth to the English language by meshing the language and warrior culture. So, languages which were brought by Germanic tribes were mixed up with local Celtic, and the English language appeared. If we speak in brief, in short, and concretely. So as you see, no any place was left which was not touched, which was not conquered by Germanic tribes. And as you know, before arrival of Germanic tribes, Romans lived and ruled the British Isles, and they constructed their own like buildings, and all of them were destroyed and ruined by Anglo-Saxons and Jews. Not all of them, but most buildings were destroyed and they became ruins. And Germanic tribes, Anglo-Saxons and Jews, established their own like kingdoms. 7 independent kingdoms appeared, came out on the political map of the world of that time. Saxons established Essex, Wessex, and Sussex. The meaning of Essex is Eastern Saxons, Western Saxons established in Wessex, and Southern Saxons established the state in the name of Sussex. Angles established East Anglia, Mercia, and Northumbria. Jutes settled down in Kent. It was a the smallest kingdom of all Heptarchy. So we can say that 7 independent kingdoms started their existence, and there was no any supreme dominant kingdom, and that's why among those kingdoms, there was constant war. And why did they fight so much? Why? So they wanted to, one of those kingdoms wanted to get a supreme power. It was a battle, it was a fight for dominancy. But anyway, we should mention that Northumbria, Mercia, and Wessex were more powerful than other kingdoms in that heptarchy. And what can we tell else about Anglo-Saxon invasion? Some words about Celtic people, local Celtic people who had been living before Germanic tribes' arrival and the British Isles. So most of them ran away to other territories, especially to the northern part and to other parts of the European continent. Some of them were killed by the enemy, and some of them were made slaves. So when Celtic people were merged into Germanic tribes, and they became one nation, let's say this fact as well. So you can see in this, you can see heptarchy of Anglo-Saxon kingdoms better in this map. As you see, Northumbria, Mercia, and Wessex had vast territories, and probably for this they had some more power, they had more dominancy over other Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. What comes to the living style of Anglo-Saxons, we can say, I mentioned to you that Roman constructions were ruined, and Anglo-Saxons started their own architecture from foundation, we can say. New villages appeared, new constructions were made, and You can say that Anglo-Saxon society was started being like established by Germanic tribes population. People lived in small villages. Villages contained mostly 3, 4, 5 families, but later it reached up to 10 families, and they had their own culture, their own living style, and social relationship among people was also established during that period. Anglo-Saxons had their special clothes, and it was unique. Even today, if you see some Anglo-Saxon clothes, you say, "Oh, they are Germanic tribes who came from northern Europe, from northern Germany, from northern European continent to the British Isles." So they had their peculiar features in their clothing. And Anglo-Saxon society valued bravery, loyalty, and generosity as most cultures and societies appreciate even nowadays. But Angles and Saxons did not have long lives as there were many illnesses. Medicine was not developed at the time. People died of those illnesses, and there was hard labor. People had to work very hard in order to earn some money, or to earn to have some more corns and some plants than before. What comes to the religion of Anglo-Saxons, we can say that they were pagans students. So what is paganism? Paganism is a religion where people who pray to that religion have got more than one god. And Anglo-Saxons also had many gods, a number of gods. For example, earthquake happens, they started to pray to that natural disaster. Flood started, they asked, they wanted it to stop, and they started asking the natural disasters gods to stop and to have mercy on them. So natural disasters and some artifacts of nature, some mountains, some plants, some trees became their gods if they needed the thing for their everyday life. And every field, every how to say, every their concept had their own god. They had the god of death, the god of poetry, god of magic, god of thunder, lightning. So natural disasters, I told you, nature and some events which happened in everyday life influenced them to have those gods. And mostly they had gods to ask permission to stop the agricultural process, to forgive them. And of course, in this case, they had to have many gods, let's say. Like this Woden was the god of death, and Sun was the god of thunder and lightning. Students, even nowadays, modern English has got some influences of those periods. Even in the English language, we can see some words which were originated in that period even. And for example, modern English days of the week were named after Anglo-Saxon gods. That can seem strange, it can sound strange, but it is true historical fact. For example, there was god of Two, so it was god of war, and Tuesday appeared from that name. Woden, Woden, so it was god of wisdom. Wednesday appeared, being based on that god's name. There was god Thor, it was god of thunder, and Thursday appeared, being based on that god's name. And the most interesting fact is related to the day of Friday. Freya's day, like Freya was a goddess of love. Can you see? So even at that time, people knew what love was. That's interesting. So what comes to literature, and one more word about paganism. So of course later when Christianity was penetrated into the British Isles, when people started accepting Christianity as their own religion, they stopped being pagans and they started having more like formed religion, which was Christianity. And even Anglo-Saxons, some generations accepted this religion, and Christianity history started in the British Isles as well. What comes to literature, the whole literature of the English language was also established in the period of Anglo-Saxons. Beowulf was written in Old English, and it was related to Anglo-Saxon culture, to Anglo-Saxon heroism. The main hero saved his tribes from the hand of Randall, from the hand of bad creature who ate people. And it was heroic, epic, which was devoted to the heroism of Anglo-Saxon person. And what can we say about some rulers of that period? We cannot speak about Germanic tribes, about kingdoms of Germanic tribes, not mentioning King Offa. He was one of the most powerful rulers in the history of England. First of all, he claimed the state of kingship in Europe and in the territory of the British Isles as well. He was enough powerful to employ thousands of people to build a dike, and it is named as Offa's Dyke today. Even so, at that time it was difficult to construct any building, and King Offa wanted to withdraw enemies from other sides from his country, and that's why he built that Offa's Dyke as a construction. It helped him to keep enemies away. So if your border is strong, your state will be strong. And of course, King Offa was like managing to claim the first English kingship as well. And as I told you, you can see how Offa's Dyke was built in the border of other countries, and Mercia became one of the strongest kingdoms among those Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. And even today, as students, we can see some ruins of Offa's Dyke, and it is British heritage. It is kept as one of the cultural, historical heritages which belongs to the British people. And is how many historical events happened in that place, and of course it is appreciated, liked and visited by thousands of people in the world, including the United Kingdom itself. And another good deed of King Offa was that he was able to establish first Mercia coins. They were silver coins. They were copies of Arab dinars. But there was one difference. It was Offa's name and his wife's name were written on those coins. But it was exact copy of Arab dinar, as historical facts tell us the truth. So Mercia became one of the most powerful kingdoms in Europe during the ruling of King Offa. But after his death, it is a pity that his son could not keep that position. position anymore, and Mercia became a very big state. Sweden's Anglo-Saxons history, invasion, culture, these themes are very interesting, and I will recommend you to search for more information from other sources. That's it for today. Thank you for your attention. See you.